Hello. Hello.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I'm dandy.
Let's get a bit of energy in.
You say
What's
dandy?
up, fam? Welcome back to the OverAndOut show. Roll that intro. How's that?
I'm just trying to shut shit on my phone. Amazing.
Classic.
Brilliant.
How's you? Good?
I'm good.
I got
Things
a letter.
are happening. Everything's recording. You've got a letter.
I got a letter in the post I want to discuss, right?
Okay.
But first, I'm drinking something today, which shit the fucking bed. Smells like a bottle of sweat with strawberries in it. My mom,
yeah, it does.
My mom makes kombucha, right?
Kombucha.
Yeah, kombucha. Pamela's like, it's not kombucha, it's kombucha.
It is kombucha. Actually, it's booch. You just call it booch.
Boochy, bit of booch. Do you actually call it
Bit
booch?
of booch.
It
I
looks
call
like
it
it's
booch.
got brains in the bottom of it. Now, I like kombucha, and when we were in the States, that was when I first tried it and got a little bit of it, but my mom makes it herself. But when you go around the house, she's like, do you want a wee bit of this? And I'm like, yeah, that festering brain in that jar. No thanks, love. She's like got these two like Kilner jars with like a little napkin over them, and there's this SCOBY thing floating in. Do the Googles if you don't know what any of this is. Basically, and it's floating there like if you're in some sort of wacky lab and there's like animal brains floating in jars.
I'd love to make kombucha. Like I love the booch. It's amazing.
To be
I
fair,
could drink that for days.
that's actually quite tasty.
It's really nice. It's very good for your gut as well, as far as I'm aware.
You should be drinking it.
Why? I do drink it.
Because your gut is a pussy. Like
What?
like your gut. Oh, can't have spicy stuff. Me gut. Oh,
I just don't like spicy
I drank
stuff.
some beer. Me gut. Oh,
I just don't like spicy
those
stuff.
Monster Munch. Me gut can't handle
Oh yeah,
them.
no. Fucking, they can handle Monster Munch. Can handle Pringles, Monster Munch. No, I've never understood the fascination with spicy stuff. Like my brother-in-law, he's one of those guys that goes to Indian restaurants and they go, right, give us the hottest thing on the menu. Watch your face melt off, kind of stuff.
Brings his wife out. There you go.
This is
Thanks
my
for
wife
listening.
on a table. You can rub her with a poppadom.
Yeah.
Jesus. I've never understood that. Like, you know how some people, they just don't like, fast rides in a theme park.
Yeah.
I love that. Spicy food, I just don't understand it. It's like, I do not understand when you put something in your mouth and you can't feel anything because it's just so hot.
Let's just cut that.
I walked right into that.
Let's
didn't
cut
I?
that. We'll cut that soundbite out. Pop it on IG. Can't stand when you put something in your mouth.
You're welcome.
And you can't feel anything because it's just so hot. Ryan say 2021.
That's not a good way to start.
Before we get on to this letter, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you I'll be brief for this because I laughed. So I'm doing some work for a client. They know this story. It's quite funny. And they were dropping something in my house the other day. All right?
Mike's?
No, not mics. No, like just products, right? Products that I had to photograph in the studio. And they were dropping an extra one. They're like, do you mind if we drop a product off? And I was like, yeah. If you do it tomorrow morning, I'm going to be shooting some stuff anyway, so fire it around. So I drop it around. And I go out, bin day, I roll the bins out, get outside, and some ass bag has let their dog do a shit outside my house, right? Which I think has got really, really, really bad recently, and it's a story for another day. But I looked at it, I was like, motherfuckers. So I go back inside, get some bags and lift that shit. Like literally lift that shit, put it in a bin. And as I'm putting it in the bin and walking back towards my house, muttering away to myself, if I find that person, I'll set this dog shit on fire and post it through their door box. This car pulls up across the road from me. Okay? And a Japanese guy bounces out of the car. Right? And he's like, but he turns out I know him. Well, I know him through someone, but I've never met him before and he's never met me, but he knows who I am, but I've no idea who he is. And he hops out of the car, bear in mind I've just picked up the dog shit, and looks at me and just sort of says, like, points, doing that like universal sign language we all do. I'm like, are you the guy? You the guy? Because I'm the guy. And he looked at me. I was half awake at this point. It was quite early in the morning. I'd just done bins. I was only up. I was dealing with the kids, and I looked at him, and he hopped out, but he was holding a green plastic bag in his hand, like a spar bag, in his hand. And I made the connection. I made the idea that he's obviously one of those decent people whose dog shat and he didn't have a poo bag, and he's gone home. He's driven back, because I've done this before, driven back and picked up his dog shit. See, because I'd literally just happened. He gets that poo bag in his hand. Are you the guy? I'm looking at him like, what the fuck do you want, man? And he's looking at me like making the real enthusiastic eye contact. And I sort of shook my head at him like, what? And then he pointed at me again as he's crossing the road towards me. And I thought, this fucker is obviously here to pick up his dog shit. I'm away back in the house. I can't be bothered talking. So I got to walk back in the house, and he walks into the driveway. Into my driveway. And I turn around and I'm like, you all right? And he just says this name to me, oh, such and such. And I was like, and then I just clicked. It was like, I work with his wife. I was doing work for his wife, and she had got him to drop the product around to the house. But I knew, and it all made sense, because she's got like a Japanese surname, but she's from here. And as soon as he said her name, all the pieces went tick-a-tick-a-tick-a-tick. And I was like, of course, Japanese guy, she's got a Japanese surname, this is obviously her husband, of course. And then I was like, and then I did that bit where like my brain slowly turned on, and he looked at me as if to be like, are you some sort of moron? And I was like, oh, you're the guy that does the... And then we get into this whole conversation. But I know that initial interaction was like really like moronic on my behalf, and the whole way through the conversation, while we were talking about vans and paddleboarding and stuff, really cool guy, we're chatting away, I was just thinking, oh, I look like a real idiot at the beginning of this conversation. And I just walked away, and then when he left, I had to message him, and I was like, I'm really sorry, I was a really funny interaction with your husband. I honestly just thought he was there to pick up dog shit. Oh my
She
God.
must have thought that was really
She loved
weird.
it. She fucking loved it. And then I got a message from him going, hey, it's me, the guy with the dog shit. I was like, sorry about that. I'm an idiot. So there you go. Fucking hell. You know, day with
I do like that, like how like you're totally in your own zone.
Yeah.
And you're doing something, and you're like, especially when you're pissed off or whatever, and someone interrupts that flow.
Yeah.
And you immediately jump to a conclusion.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah.
They're the nicest person on earth, and you look at them like, do you have a death wish? And they're like, hi, just here to give you something. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. I was about to say to fuck off, but cheers, appreciate it.
Yeah.
It happened
Happens
once
all
when
the
I
time.
dropped the wallet when I was riding my bike. I dropped a wallet, and this guy picked it up and followed me up the road hooting at me. And I thought he was hooting at me because I was riding in the road. I was so fucking annoyed.
Yeah.
Get to my house, and he pulls up next to me, and I was like, what? And he's like, sorry, you dropped your wallet back there.
You're
Oh,
like,
thanks very
"Oh,
much.
I feel like a dick
Goddamn
now."
Samaritan. Thank you. Yeah.
It's there are nice people in the world. Who knew?
Who knew, huh? In this day and age. So this letter,
Yeah.
thought this would be interesting.
Who's it from?
Well, it's from the doctors. Dear Dylan.
Are you making the change? Are you doing it?
Yeah.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah. We've got your tail ready if you'd like to go through the transformation.
Wow. Okay.
They said, Dylan, I'll paraphrase this. I'll read between the lines because there's 2 pages. Dylan,
Oh, jeez. Okay.
come get your vaccine, fella.
Oh, hang on a minute. Are you telling me you're not in your mid-30s? You're actually
I'm
70
65.
something.
I'm 65. 65.
You look great.
Lung condition. Thanks. I
Wow.
use a lot of face cream. Yeah. So I get this letter in saying you've got to come in for your jabula jab, and I sunk. My heart sunk a bit inside. I was like, oh, don't know how I feel
did it
about
come
that.
too soon?
Well,
Sorry.
well, I don't know. Like, I just thought,
It would all blow over?
yeah, I thought we'd all meet back at the Winchester after it all blew over, you know. But
No vaccine needed.
no vaccine needed. Exactly. I just, it's one of those things. What's your vibe on that? You know, do you want me to explain mine, or what's your thoughts? You get a letter in.
Well, I haven't got a letter, so I'm assuming. Obviously, I don't want to give out. You don't have to give out details or anything, but you must have some kind of underlying health issue.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Or some. Well, being an idiot is not an underlying health issue. Although I wish it were, and we could.
There'll be a lot of people getting the vaccine. Yeah?
Oh no! Don't make me go all right wing. Let's just.
I do. Well, I don't.
If you're an idiot,
I don't.
see you later.
I mean, technically, probably, yeah. I have asthma, but I hate saying that, because for me, saying asthma nowadays is like saying I have anxiety. You know, people roll their eyes at you like, bet you do, fella. But I've had asthma since I was a kid, and I was in hospital a lot when I was a kid with it, and had problems with it and stuff. But generally, like, I still take medication for it now, but I try not to let it affect me. I am not an anti-vax person. I'm not an anti-medicine person. I'm a let your body deal with it person. So generally, I don't take painkillers unless I really have to. I try not to take my inhalers. In fact, I get into arguments with the asthma clinic a lot because I'm like, I don't want you to keep giving me medication. You know, just if I don't need a medication every 3 months. If you give me one for the year, I'll get new ones at the end of the year. And they're like, well, you have to keep taking it. If you don't keep taking it, we'll stop giving it to you. I'm like, well, yes, but I don't like the idea of this. I don't need it, so I don't want to take it because it wastes money. So honestly, it took me so many arguments to get the asthma clinic to understand that they only need to give me a small amount, because I try to let my body deal with that. And I get into moments where I can't breathe, and I have to breathe it out. But I taught myself to breathe it out because I surf. And I can't be taking a blooming inhaler outside.
Are you saying
that wasn't a COVID
partially
cough,
made up? Jesus, get that fucking vaccine in you.
Inject me. Am I saying asthma's made up? No.
Well, no. I
Do
mean,
I think a lot of it's in your head? Yeah. It is for me anyway.
That was more my question.
Yeah.
Is that is it if you get, if you're disabled and you can't walk, it's like, well, there's no fake in that.
It's not like
your legs don't work.
Yeah, it's in your head.
And there's no amount of of mind power that's going to change that.
Yeah.
You know? So I guess the question I'm asking, because I don't have asthma, but I never have. I'm as far as I'm aware, clean bit of health. Are you saying that you can actually breathe it out? And do people that have asthma, are they relying on the drugs too much? And whereas there could be what's it called, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, could be a thing, as opposed to just taking in the drugs for it.
It is for me. I'm not sure if it's for everyone, but there are times when I have to take an inhaler. But I used to be when I would go ride, as a kid, riding bikes and stuff, you would have a day where the minute you realize you haven't got the inhaler, suddenly your whole chest tightens up. And then you're like, do I need the inhaler? Should I go back and get the inhaler? And I learned that, and I was like, well, hold on, if I can breathe it out. And then I would just calm down, breathe it out, and then be like, I'll be fine. I know it, and most of the time it's as long as I know there's an inhaler there, I'm fine. I can never use it. And the minute I think it's not there, panic. So I had to control that because of surfing and riding bikes and stuff. I'm like, I don't. So now it's I have inhalers, but I try not to take them. I try not to pick them up. I spoke to the asthma clinic about it. But that's kind of the way I am with most medication. I like to let if I have a headache, I'd like to drink water first to see if I'm dehydrated, to understand what's going on. I like to know what my body's capable of, I guess. And when it comes to things like flu jabs and vaccines, I'm like, I don't feel like, with this, I don't really want to take it. I don't really want to take it because I'm I'd rather just, I feel like I'm okay. I feel like I don't want to put something in my body that I don't know enough about, but at the same time, my concern.
At the same time,
I know nothing about any of it.
You still drink beer.
Exactly.
You're like, well, what happened to that? Did you piss in it? Is that the magic ingredient? Oh, this tastes great.
Yeah. Can you inject that into me, please?
It's got this kind of ammonia. Sounds lovely.
I don't know anything about that. So, and the problem with the vaccine thing is, it's you hear people talk about the vaccine.
You eat McDonald's,
it's great.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Exactly. It's probably the same ingredients.
Oh, it's got tar in it.
Yeah.
So I guess what you're saying is, now that you've been obviously we all knew the vaccine was coming, and obviously at the beginning, it's like, well, all the people in care homes over 80s, blah, 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 whatever, they'll get it. They're old, they'll just let them have it. Who cares? And then, but now it's coming down the age gap and the vulnerability gap, as it were. And so now, are you kind of just sort of thinking, well, it was something that was very far away, and now it's very close.
Yeah.
So now it's like, and actually you've got a letter saying you can come and get it. Whereas, and you've got it like, because my friend Steve had it the other day, because I think he has the same asthma type thing as you do. And he went and had his vaccine. But we were surprised because he's like, my age? He's like, you're 40 something. So
old. Then.
Basically geriatric. And so it's just kind of weird because, in your head, like all the old people and super vulnerable people, are dying, and the young people, relatively healthy, aren't. And now all of a sudden you're going, well, do you want to come get the vaccine? You're like, well, hang on a minute. No. This was for the old people. Yeah. Do I need this? And it's an interesting thing. So I guess the question is, if we take aside the medical side from it, because as far as I'm aware, from what I understand from reading on the news, and don't quote me on this or anything, but the vaccine just lessens your chances of dying.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually prevent you from spreading it.
No.
Now, I'm
saying that like according to my research,
Dr. Dillon.
According to my research that I've done in the field,
I'm just going from what I've heard on the news, and
that's what I've read as well.
So, now if they told me that the vaccine, not only did it will lessen your chance of dying, but actually it prevents you from passing it on, I'd be like, loads of people would take that. Because it's like, well, that's it, job done. No one's passing it on, easy as, right? Yeah. But the thing is, it doesn't actually stop you from passing it on. So my question is, what is this desperate need for everyone to get the vaccine? Because if, let's say, I know a couple of young people, like 18-year-olds that have had it, literally was barely even a cold. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't even know you had it. Why do they need to get the vaccine? Yeah. Because it's not going to stop them passing it around. So why should they put that in their body?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And that's kind of the vibe that my head goes with as well. It's like, I don't know what that is, and that's kind of thinking. And I was like, I was more like, I'll not get it. Like, and also like, I'll not be on the list for ages, and then the letter comes in, and I'm like, shit, now I have to deal with this. Like, what do I do? But my main concern is like, I don't want to be the guy that doesn't take the vaccine, and then ends up in hospital, and they're like, you're asthmatic, idiot. Why didn't you take the vaccine? And I'm like, I thought I was stronger than it, mate. And I was like, nah. Well, but
it's one of those things, isn't it? You're okay until you're not.
Exactly. And I also don't want to be the guy that doesn't take it, and then suddenly out of nowhere a vaccine passport is brought into play. Whether that's us being allowed to go out into pubs or whatever, or work, or whether that's like international travel. Maybe that's not even us that does it, or other countries, and we can't control that. And then they're like, well, you're on a wait list now, bro. It's a year before you're going to get it.
See, that's the super dangerous thing, is that now and obviously you don't know how much of this is bullshit and all that kind of stuff, but like, it might not necessarily be us, but it's other countries that are now thinking about getting a passport vaccine, which means that unless you've been vaccinated, you can't go to that country. Yeah. So I'm like, well, I travel a lot for work. So does that mean if I don't get vaccinated, I can't go and work? Yeah. So that kind of puts me in that position of, well, you're kind of giving me no choice. Yeah. And then, there's this other thing where they're saying, oh, unless you're vaccinated, you can't go to a pub or a theatre or the cinema or whatever it is. And it's like, so you go out with your friends, one of you doesn't want to get vaccinated, and they're like, well, you have to stay at home because you can't go out.
You effectively become the guy who's too drunk to get into the bar. No, you can't come in like that. But you see,
and I think that's really scary, because it's like, well, they're passing it off as like a health thing, and safety. But at the same time, you're like, well, I'm not like for vaccines or anti-vaccine. It's like, you do what you want. But the problem is now they're making it like, well, it's like a public service. Yeah. And it's like, that's not really how I think it should work, which is super scary. I mean, it's like being in the Matrix, to be quite honest. I kind of get the impression, you've seen the Matrix, right? You know how we were all in those little cocoons? Yeah. I swear this vaccine, like, in the Matrix or the real world, we're all in those cocoons, and something's gone wrong, and they've gone, shit, we need to update everyone with a vaccine.
Yeah.
Let's just give them all a vaccine, and then hopefully on the other side it'll all sort this little germ thing that they've got going out.
Yeah.
So that's what I reckon. So if you don't take it, you might wake up on the other side of the real world.
Yeah.
Which you probably don't.
If you
It'll be very grey, very blue.
Yeah.
It'll have the Matrix LUT on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
and Morpheus just standing there with
and
bars
Morpheus
top and bottom.
Yeah, it goes, right, so you were in this nice world where you had a job and like Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's and all this nice food and kombucha and beer. Now you eat slop.
Not
but
like
hey,
this.
at least you're free.
Not like this. Not like this. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a
conundrum, isn't it? It's a difficult.
It is a conundrum
decision.
because I don't like being. I think what it is, I don't like being forced to take it and I feel that when it comes to my turn to get the vaccine and they're like, oh, you can either get the vaccine or you cannot. I'm like, well, I'll make my decision then. But I don't want to make my decision based on the fact, well, if I want to travel or if I want to do things, I have to take the vaccine.
Yeah.
I want to take it because I choose to take it because I want to or not, because I want to or not because of what I want to do or what it'll enable me to do.
Do you know what's also interesting? It actually thinks us back to a couple of episodes. It thinks us back to a couple of episodes ago when we talked about...
Oh, you want to get that vaccine? It'll... Yeah, you see your Matrix like little fetus is glitching.
Is that a black cat?
You know?
Deja vu.
Yeah.
What's that cat
It's
doing?
glitching. You need the vaccine to update.
Like, when we think us back a couple of episodes and we talked about original thought, right? Original ideas.
Jesus, yeah.
Jesus. Now, I've got a few friends that are like anti-vax people, like legit anti-vaxxers, you know. And there's a part of me was like, that's also something that weighs on my mind, like the opinions of those people. But like, I still don't know where I sit. I still don't know where I sit on it. I have a couple of weeks to make a decision, but I still don't know where I sit on it. But it's like there's all this pressure from all angles of whether you should or shouldn't take it from all sides, and it is I'm with you on that. I think the fact that someone says to me like, do you want a vaccine, I think naturally I'd be like, no thanks, I'm okay. But then they go, okay, cool, but you're not allowed to travel, so you're not going to be able to do international travel or go into bars and restaurants.
Straight in my eyeball.
Which hole do you want to put it in? Crack it in there, go on. And they're like, and then someone goes,
that's manipulation though.
In 30 years time you might grow another arm. I'm like, brilliant, I could use that for something, you know. I'm like, I think with
I need to press record while I'm holding the camera. This is brilliant.
I can
this
vlog
is what
and
I've
hold the
always
mic
dreamed
and the
of.
light. That'd be great.
I can hold the camera both times and focus. Full focus.
That'd be great. Yeah, you've got your own full focus. Yeah. So I just think I'm with you on that. It's because they put that thing down where you feel like you're cornered and you haven't got a decision, you haven't got a choice to make, and that's the bit that scares me with that. Like, well, do I want to take it? I don't really think so. Do I give a shit enough to argue about if you literally put a rule in front of me going, you cannot travel or go into bars or restaurants or work if you don't take it? Like, that's not really a choice, is it? It's like...
See, I mean, I think this is the thing, is that the UK is actually I mean, some people might disagree, it's generally quite liberal on this kind of thing. But when you go to a country like Australia or New Zealand, one of the things that people refer to as they're very nanny state. Like they're very overpowering, very overwhelming on how everyone does everything. So it's kind of difficult because while the UK might go, actually, no, we believe that everyone should have the choice whether to do it or not, it doesn't fucking matter. Because if you want to go and see your family in New Zealand or Australia, they're going to go, nah, you don't have a vaccine, you're not coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, end of story. And you're like, well, and I was thinking as well, like globally, how does that work in terms of business? Like, because I can't imagine America are going to be very pro-vaccine or very like, you know, you can't come in unless you have the vaccine. Yeah. But then what happens if Australia or New Zealand want to deal with America?
Yeah.
And then they'll go, well, yeah, your CEOs from the States can't come here unless they've got the vaccine.
Yeah.
And the Americans are like, well, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and then so how does, you know, globally and financially, how does that work?
Yeah.
Because if some people want to take it, some people don't want to take it. And the other thing as well is that when is this going to come into effect? Because I know that like a lot of people over 60 now had the vaccine in the UK at least.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, now they're all starting to book holidays, and I'm like, hang on a minute. So old people are allowed to book holidays. Yeah, old people are allowed to book holidays because if they now go to a country like, I don't know, Greece or whatever, or whoever decides to have the vaccine passport, I'm now what's the word? It's prejudiced against me for being young and not being eligible to have the vaccine yet.
Yeah.
You're like, well, hang on a minute. And the other thing as well is that what happens, like, if you want to speed up the process of having the second jab, it's like, well, if you're super rich and you're a CEO of, I don't know, Barclays Bank or some big, investment hedge fund thing, and they're like, well, we need you in the States, but you need a vaccine. Okay, boom, here's $2,000. Just get me the vaccine. It's like, okay, so rich people can have it, old people can have it, but the 18-year-olds who want to go on a gap year are fucked because they're right at the bottom of the chain. I think it's going to build up a lot of prejudice and really put that gap between the haves and the have-nots potentially. Because it's interesting if you look in like Yasmin's mum, she's from Germany, and in Germany and I think it's Spain and Portugal and a couple of other countries, they are not giving the vaccine to over 65s.
Really?
Because they haven't seen enough evidence for it to actually make a difference to people over that age. So they're giving it to younger people. Okay. And I think the UK, and this is just, you can take this how you want this. It's like, this is not fact or anything. This is just my opinion. I think we did it around the wrong way. I think if you're going to vaccinate people, you should have vaccinated the working for. You should have vaccinated the doctors, nurses, anyone on the front line, policemen, firemen, all that lot, teachers as well.
Teachers as well, yeah.
Vaccinated them all first. Then you should have done the working force, and then you should have gone on to pensioners. Yeah. Because it's like what kind of irritates me about the pensioner thing is like, you don't need to go to work, you don't need to leave your house because you have a pension and you're retired. Whereas people that, there's a lot of people out there that need to work, feed their kids and whatever.
And also,
but hang on a minute, they're getting it first. Yeah, it's pay the, exactly. It's pay these pensions that you and I will never receive.
That is the bit that drives me berserk, is people think like their pension, like their state pension, is this little pot, and there's a little jar there sitting in the bank going, Sally and Ben, their pension. You're like, is it fuck? It's the tax we're paying now pays your pension. If we can't work,
not unless you got your private pension.
Yeah, private pension.
But the state pension. You and I will never see that.
Yeah, no.
That's paying for my granddad right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So but I think that's interesting because I think it's, why not vaccinate like the sort of working force first, because then we can make sure then that the people who are more vulnerable, they don't need to leave the house because we can bring them stuff. You can get them food there and all that kind of thing. People in the care homes, we don't have to go and see them. Like they don't have to move as much as we do, if you know what I mean. That may sound heartless, but in my mind, that's the more logical way to do stuff. Yeah. And that means we wouldn't have had to shut the economy down. Yeah. And we wouldn't have lost as much money as we did, and people wouldn't have been out of work for as long. Yeah. But what do I know?
Yeah, and I agree with that. I've said that a few times to people, just being like, they should have, the lockdown should have been more applied to the people that aren't required, like to work every single day like that, and left everybody else to crack on, in a way. Because I think hindsight, until we had the vaccine, I think the vaccine should have gone to it should have gone to all the frontline workers first, and then younger people, so we could get the economy up and running straight away. Because it's like Yasmin's dad, he lives in Italy now, retired, and he lives in a sort of a nice little beachside town outside of Rome, about 40 minutes from Rome. And he's going on, and whenever we speak to him, he's going on and on about like, you all need to stay inside, you all need to do this, you shouldn't be going to work. And I'm like, hang on a minute, like, you don't have to work. You've got your pension, you've bought your house, you have your nice little life. It's a nice little small village, there's not too many people there, it's very easy to socially distance. Fucking, I'm just dying here. As you said that, my eyes just started like watering. I felt like they were bleeding. The two of us clearly had a stroke at the same time there. Oh, easy.
It's a glitch in the Matrix. They know, they can hear.
They're like,
they're being tapped by the Matrix.
And my microphone just glitches out, just gone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's disappearing.
And so he's like going on about, you need to do this. And it's like, but it's very easy for you because you have no job.
Yeah.
And you don't have commitments to like, well, I have to work for this. And, obviously Yasmin's now left home, we're married and living together. So he has no dependents, and I think there's a lot of the older generation that they're going, oh, well, you should do this, you should do that. And it's like, well, you're retired.
Yeah.
You don't have a say anymore as far as I'm concerned, because you're the ones that should be at home
Making kombucha.
Making kombucha, like your mum is. Why is she at home? Because she's retired,
working.
isn't she?
No, she's not retired.
Oh, but isn't
working.
she a school teacher?
She's classroom assistant.
So has she had the vaccine?
She has had the vaccine, the first dose. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your dad has as well, then, right?
No, my dad hasn't.
Oh.
My mom's on the spectrum.
Okay.
No, she's on the list of, if we don't give her a vaccine, she's only going to come and harp at our door for the next fucking 6 months. Just stick something in her arm to shut her up. No, she's the same as me. She's got an underlying health issue.
Oh.
So she's fine.
But she's a school teacher, so she should have had it anyway.
Yeah, she should have. Yeah,
so.
She's got kind of both. So she's sort of still working and shielding. So like it's fucking. Like having to work from home and help out and do stuff, it's a weird old situation. But yeah, I mean, Boris, fella, if you need any of this advice written out, with a manuscript of this entire episode, we'll email it to you.
Just give me a call. Me and Ellen,
Ellen.
Ellen.
Fucking hell.
Me and Dylan, $2,000 an hour. We'll advise you. Yeah. It's fine, as long as you give us access to the vaccine.
Yeah, if you drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thoughts on that entire thing. Would you get the vaccine? What do you think about it? What do you what about the whole concept of a vaccine passport? Crazy, all right? And Dave,
it is crazy.
Dave, don't be commenting about flat Earth, all right?
No,
just leave it there. Right,
leave it.
I'm done.
Well, I could leave it there, but it's rolled off due to the curvature. Doesn't matter.
I'm lost. I'll watch this back and then there'll be a
joke.
Don't
worry about it.
There'll be a joke.
It's nice. I say it's not really a joke.
Okay.
It's just an observation.
Well, I'm gonna bounce because I can only drink so much kombucha, and I poured a beer and it tastes like dirt. So,
actually, can you get kombucha beer?
No, but I learned today you can dry hop kombucha. Jesus Christ. I know it's an O. Keep saying an A. What a tit. But yeah, look, that's another episode of the news.
Of the news with Dylan and Ryan.
With Dylan and Ryan.
Ryan. What the fucking
Thanks for tuning in. Interested to know your thoughts below. Hopefully you're still enjoying the show. I mean, we haven't bored you to death, but not everything.
If the vaccine won't kill you, we will.
Yeah. Vaccines don't kill people. OverAndOut shows.
Dylan does. Dylan do.
Right, I'm going. Thanks, folks. Catch you later.
We will see you there. Fucking hell.
All right,
clappy.
Clappy. Nice.